if I see that I want to climb a mountain, I know I want to get to the top, and I know I'm right here. I fundamentally know I need to walk this journey to get to the mountain. Now, to get to the top of the mountain, there may be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, thousands of ways up this mountain. It takes one step at a time. The importance isn't necessarily the journey you choose. Not one journey is going to be right or wrong. The important part of that is that you consistently take this step. Because whether you go right up the mountain, if you go straight up, if you go up and down and up and down, it doesn't necessarily matter, because ultimately you're all going to achieve the top. What matters is that you take that one step at a time, because sooner or later you will get to the top. Welcome back to the Prosperous Life Podcast, and thank you all for showing up each and every week. Really appreciate you guys and showing up for you, because that's really what makes an impact here. These podcasts are a tool for myself and us listening to this, although ultimately the people showing up are showing up after this podcast, and that's what's making the impact in this world. So thank you all. My name is Braiden Belnap. Today we're talking about building your kingdom. Building a kingdom starts with you. And once you build a kingdom in life, you're able to make a bigger impact. So imagine a world where you could create anything that you want in life. Imagine where you could think of something that you want to do and you do it, whether you feel like it or not. Imagine a world where you are the driver. And if you want to go somewhere, you simply just do it, out of knowing that it's the right thing for you. It's easy to just live an easy life. It's hard to live an extraordinary life, but if you look at it in the long term, it's a lot easier to live an extraordinary life than it is to live an easy life. Before I was here being a life coach, transforming people's lives on a daily basis that choose to take the things that I teach them and they implement them. Before I was here loving my life, living my life the way I chose, living my life the way I've wanted to, I was in a really deep hole. I was in a pit that felt like I couldn't get out. I was in a pit where I wasn't exactly sure where to start. And it wasn't until I chose to build my own kingdom from the ground up, right? When you build a house, you dig a hole first, right? It wasn't until I understood that this was actually the first steps in my life to building something extraordinary. That pit that I dug, it taught me a lot. There's a lot of golden nuggets and diamonds in my past that I really grasp on and hold on to, because it allows me to serve myself every day and be my best self, but it allows me to be my best self for you guys as well. You see, I'm a firm believer that God gave us a birth, a life, and a death. And even though, let's say, 10% of my life was in that pit, I don't just get to say, I'm going to take this 10% and I'm going to disregard it. I could forget about it, although by me not being vulnerable with myself and the world doesn't allow me to serve, because it's in the times that I was in that pit that I brought out my most valuable lessons. I'm a firm believer that God is on the edges of life. In the extremes. That could be to the happiest moments to the most depressing moments. And sometimes you just got to shift your head and recognize that God is always there, that somebody's always there, that somebody's always looking out for you. You may feel alone, although that 10% of hard life, 15, 20, 25%, even if you weren't 70% of your life has been hard for you, you have to dig a hole in order to build a house. So optimize that hole of yours, optimize that pit to begin building your kingdom. It's only a choice to stay in the pit and do nothing with it. And it's only a choice to take that pit and develop something from it and build a kingdom and establish that as your foundation. I'm very excited for this podcast because whether you're a master at doing all the hard things, all the little things, all the easy things in life, or somebody that does the easy things but procrastinates the hard things, this is for you. It's very unfortunate that most people, when asked if they have a strong life, will state, yes, I am very strong. Yet most people, if you ultimately look at their life, have a weak life. They may show up for public, but in the private, they're sleeping in. They're not showing up for the promises that they made for themselves, yet they'll show up for the promises that they made to their boss. They'll show up for their family members, yet they won't show up for them. They'll go out and do the things that other people love, but they won't do the things that they love for themselves. Now today, you have an opportunity. Today you have an opportunity to take yourself, serve yourself, build a kingdom, and it starts with you. If you're strong, a lot of people say that as selfish to put yourself first, but it's really selfless, because if you put yourself first, you put your thoughts first, you put your mental health, your physical well-being first, guess what? You get to serve your family, your friends, yourself, and the world longer and more efficient because you're in alignment with what you should be doing in life. Now you put your health aside, your mental aside. Okay, maybe you live a shorter life, so you're around your friends and family less. You can't serve the world. You can't fulfill your destiny. So it's a simple shift of understanding that if you want to build a kingdom, if you want to build an empire, it starts with you. Starts with the little things. Shift that perspective and you'll be able to serve the world, serve God, and serve your friends and family for a lot longer. Today's an opportunity to establish that. You don't have to tell the world you're strong. You actually can know and have a knowing you're strong. You can know that the kingdom that you've built is strong in all areas, not just one. And you don't have to be embarrassed to show the world your life because you know how strong you really are. The amazing thing about that is there's always growth opportunity. So when you're strong, you can be vulnerable and you can recognize where you can grow. We can't be strong in all areas of life, right? Ultimately, there's going to be one way lacking. And I take that back. That doesn't mean we're not strong in that area. We're strong in an area when we can understand that there's growth opportunity. And when we recognize there's growth opportunity, we consistently grow in life. We will never achieve our perfect selves. Perfection is made up. There's always going to be growth. Financially, you could reach $1 million, but there's still growth, right? That doesn't mean you're not strong. But for a moment, recognizing that building a kingdom and building an empire is a journey of 1,000 miles. And it all begins with a single step. That quote's my favorite quote, and I can't say I'll say his name right, but the Lao Tzu. Building anything in life takes consistency. When you're consistent and you're persistent, you can build something amazing. So for instance, let's say you're in a hole or a pit, or let's say you're out of the pit. Doesn't matter where you're at, you can revisit the pit if you've gotten yourself out. If you recognize that, okay, we dug this pit, how can we optimize it? Might take one dirt shovel at a time. Might take one nail at a time, one brick. And once your house is built, you can begin to build other people's houses. You can begin to build other things that build your life, to live an extraordinary life. But it takes consistency. It takes the hard labor work to build a kingdom. It's not easy. It's easy to leave your pit there and move on and never revisit it and never talk about it with other individuals. That's easy, but that is not extraordinary. If you want to live an easy life, do so. It's not what you're intended here to do. It's not what I'm here intended to do. God gave you a purpose, and purpose is not easy. Destiny is not easy. You don't build a kingdom overnight. It's a consistent process. Extraordinary life takes building it every single day and transforming yourself every day. So the question is, what are you committed to? Are you committed to an extraordinary life, or are you committed to an easy life? What's the decision? To me, that's a very easy decision. I choose living an extraordinary life, and I would love for you to join me. The thing is, once you understand where you're at today, whether that's in the deepest, darkest moments of your life, or the happiest, most honoring time in your life, and you understand where you want to go, what's going to take place is you can begin to understand fundamentally what you need to do to fill the gap. Now, if I see that I want to climb a mountain, I know I want to get to the top, and I know I'm right here. I fundamentally know I need to walk this journey to get to the mountain. Now, to get to the top of the mountain, there may be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, thousands of ways up this mountain. It takes one step at a time. The importance isn't necessarily the journey you choose. Not one journey is going to be right or wrong. The important part of that is that you consistently take this step. Because whether you go right up the mountain, if you go straight up, if you go up and down and up and down, it doesn't necessarily matter, because ultimately you're all going to achieve the top. What matters is that you take that one step at a time, because sooner or later you will get to the top. Just one step at a time. Unfortunately, most people look at other people's journeys. Why? They're living their life. They're doing what's best for them. They're doing what's best for their family, or they should be. The crazy thing is, you could be looking at one person's life, comparing yourself to them. They could be looking at you. If you stay in your lane and you walk the journey that you know is best for you, moment to moment, you live in being your best self that you know today, you will reach the top. Ultimately, the end and the top is achieving your destiny and fulfilling that prosperous life by that one step. And ultimately, that's death. Now, that sounds very uncomfortable, but do you want to achieve death when you just are still at the base of the mountain? Or do you want to achieve death when you've been able to walk this entire journey, step by step, learning so much in life about yourself, people, so that when you achieve the top of the mountain and you crossed to the other side, you're able to shake God's hand and honestly say, I did what I was intended to do? Or are you going to say, I just reached the base of the mountain. God, I know I didn't fulfill my purpose. And I know I was capable to. Each day I chose not to, because it seemed like I always had another tomorrow. Unfortunately, most people are acting like they always have a tomorrow. We don't. You, me, we don't. We don't have a tomorrow promised to us. And unfortunately, most people don't build a strong life. Unfortunately, most people don't reach the top of the mountain. Most people want and dream about the top of the mountain. Most people want and dream about building a house at the top of the mountain. Most people think they deserve the top of the mountain, yet they don't take action. They don't believe in themselves, ultimately. They don't believe they're enough, ultimately. And that doesn't go for everybody, of course, right? But today's an opportunity an awareness of, what do I want? What do I need in life? And find the power of beginning, whether you're 25, 20, 50, 70. Just for a moment, we can find and look at our past and recognize, I haven't been moving forward, and that can cause a lot of sadness, depression, anxiety, and so on and so forth. We can look at the top of the mountain, and it can cause a lot of anxiety to see how far we have to go. What I want to encourage you to do is recognize how far you've come. And just for a moment, sounds crazy, but act as if you didn't have any past. You had no past. Now, I'm not saying forget your past. I'm saying act in this moment as if it was a new beginning right now. You are rebirthed right now. If you are rebirthed right now, you had no past, and right now in this moment, you can act as if this is your beginning. You can become your best self in this moment. You have no previous beliefs, thoughts, emotions, nothing right now and moving forward in your life. Imagine if you took this lesson of, okay, what's this moment right now? What's my best self and what can I do? If you did this every single moment for the rest of your life, what do you think you would accomplish? What do you think you would accomplish in life, in other people's lives? The impact, the change. I firmly believe you would accomplish your destiny, no questions asked. Now, the one thing I would encourage you to do in this moment is that if, and only if, you are ready to change, you can. You just have to make the choice to change, and when you do that, you can transform. Now, whether you believe in yourself or don't, the one thing I would encourage is for you to begin to see yourself through God's eyes. If you don't believe in yourself, you're in your thoughts or somebody's thoughts that put them in your mind. So if you begin to see yourself through God's eyes, He believes in you. He gave you a life. He gave you a purpose here, which means He believes that you're able to transform and accomplish your destiny, the intention that He put you here to accomplish, which is your destiny. So that leaves us to understand, so what is building a kingdom? What does it take to build a kingdom? In my mind, leadership is the number one. If you can lead yourself, you can lead your family, you can lead your friends, you can lead the world. Income. Do you have income to build a kingdom? Do you have multiple sources of income coming in? That way you're not relying upon one thing. Resources. Is your mental resources on you? Is your physical resources on you? Do you have the resources for your health, mental, physical, spiritual, or are you relying your resources on other people? If you're reliant upon yourself majority of the time and your family, you're able to build an extraordinary life because you're not reliant on an area of life where somebody else is success. Values, beliefs. What are your values? Are your values and your beliefs getting you to the next step of life every single time? How's your capital? Do you own most of your life or do you not? Entrepreneurship. Are you creating? Now, entrepreneurship doesn't mean going and building out big businesses, but are you creating in your life? Are you creating something sustainable in your family? Are you creating systems in your family that if you were to pass tomorrow, they'd be able to still continue with or without you? Because your family is like a business. You have income, you have expenses, you have liabilities, you have assets. If you never build a business in your life, fine. Although, how do you build your family business? How are the finances run? How are the debt run? How is the employees, the family members run? How are the chores run? How is the big stuff done? Are you guys having fun? Are you guys connecting? Owning land? You need to have growth in all areas consistently. Imagine if our government stopped growing in all areas. Imagine what would happen to us all. To the top of the top president, to the homeless people. What would happen? So evaluate. Right? Where are you at right now? Are you multimillionaire, good relationships with your family, good relationship with yourself? Are you going to church? Are you having a spiritual practice? Where are you at right now? Are you happy with it, or are you not happy with it? What are you doing right now that you know you shouldn't be doing? What are you doing right now that you know is right for you? What's causing you the most pain in your life? And how committed are you to transforming? On a scale of 1 to 10, honestly. 1 being not ready at all, 10 being I will do anything and everything, even if it's hard, going against all my fears and beliefs, as long as it's aligned with my ethics, that I will do it. So what's the pain? Let's say you never changed, you stayed the same right now. What does life look like for you? Does it look like palm trees, beaches, all that? Or does it look pretty depressing, sad, anxiety, not following your authentic self, not following your purpose in life, not living a prosperous life, or getting to the end and not being able to shake God's hand and say, I did what you intended me to do? What does life look like for you? And transform that. What can you do today? Actually today. Something small to immediately take action. What can you do that is either in your marriage, your relationships, your finances, your career, your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health? What's something so small that you can do to reinforce, I am going to change? Great. Now you have that. Now what can you do long term on a consistent basis? If it's your health, can you just start working out 15 minutes every day? Can you do 5 minutes? Can you even do a minute? If it's your financial, can you start a business? Can you start a side hustle? Can you start to work an extra hour, 2 hours at work? What can you do to build your career, build your businesses, and build the income coming in? Multiple sources. How's the leadership? Point is, we want to do something small today to reinforce this belief in this transformation. And we want to have something we can be persistent with and consistent on to reinforce that over time. Now we want to evolve, right? If you're starting to work out, let's say 1 minute a day to reinforce that you will become healthy and you are healthy and you are fit. We don't want to stay at that 1 minute. We want to do 2 minutes the next week, 3 minutes. Or do 1 to 10 minutes and then 10 to 20 minutes and then 20 to 30. We want to consistently evolve to always become better. Because if we stay at that 1 minute, you'll reach a growth, and then you'll cap off. We don't want to cap off. We want to consistently grow. So take action. Don't hesitate. This is your life. This is up to you. When people ask, what caused me to transform? My only answer was myself. Because if you don't find that purpose, that desire, that intention within yourself, you will never change. You will never transform. Transformation happens on the inside of us, what we can't see. And the outside is the result. We have a thought, which creates emotion, which creates a behavior, which creates a result. Everything happens on the inside. So if you don't choose to change today, and your resource of your mental, spiritual, and physical is reliant on everybody else, until you bring those resources on the inside, transformation will not happen. I was in a pit for a long time, and I took that pit and I built a house. Now I'm building a kingdom. I can't say I have a big empire, a big kingdom, but we're starting small. And whether you have a big empire, a big kingdom, whether you're just starting, whether you're still in the pits, or whether you abandoned your empire, I have one question for you. Do you or do you not want to build an empire? Because the person with the biggest empire still needs to keep building it. It can be lost. So do you want to join me in building this kingdom of ours? With that in mind, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for showing up again every single week. Thank you. And if you found this podcast prosperous, transformational, I encourage you to share it with a friend. And if you need any additional insights, transformations, little snippets of this podcast, I'd encourage you to look in the description. With that in mind, subscribe, leave a review, reach out to me at Braiden Belnap on all social medias, and we will talk next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.